Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhasya Kripa Sindhu Bebacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharini Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarini Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Hare Krishna. I'd like to thank all the devotees for joining today on Bhagavad Gita. We are in the last chapter. I just thought that we should complete this journey of our client's Bhagavad Gita journey. We come to the last chapter, so we should complete it so that we have done some complete service. It's complete, on whatever respect. So we had a long gap, so I just thought today maybe it's good to revise the chapter. We have gone up to, I think we've gone up to 50, 60 actually. We've gone up to 60 shlokas already. We come to 6, almost to the end. But 18th chapter is a big chapter. There's no harm in revising. Srila Prabhupada says that the actual Bhagavad Gita finishes in the 17th chapter. The 18th chapter is a wrap-up or a conclusion of the entire Gita. And so there's a revision of what we read before. Important points are recapped and revised, and conclusions are explained in this chapter. And consequently, it's also the biggest chapter in the whole Bhagavad Gita. So today we'll cover the first 12 shlokas. Because I've already done this chapter, so I'm going to be faster in this one. I'm going to go fast. So today we'll cover 12 shlokas. Because these 12 shlokas are going to revise Karma Yoga. Shloka number 1 to 12. And 13 to 44 will revise the Jnana Yoga. Jnana. That process requiring knowledge. So what I would suggest is, since there are not that many devotees, we could have each one reading one verse translation. And then we'll quickly, I'll just make a few points on that. And then we shall move on to the next verse. So I'll briefly read only the translations. I will not read the whole detailed purport and all. We've already done that before. Is that okay, Nanda, to do it that way?
Yes, bro, that's fine.
Can I request you to read Prabhu text number 1 translation, 18th chapter?
Okay. Chapter 18, text 1, Srila Prabhupada, Vijay Gopikesh. O Arjun said, O mighty young one, I wish to understand the purpose of renunciation, Tyaga, and the advanced order of life, Sannyasa, O killer of the kiss demon, master of senses.
So this verse, Krishna is talking about, this Arjuna asking a question here. Now this question has already been answered, but the reason Arjuna is asking the question is, he also wants to recap what he has heard, so that he is clear about what he has heard. And there is, confirmation, he's confirming what he has heard so far. So there are 2 words here, Tyaga and Sannyas. He's asking what is the purpose of that? So these 2 words are very important because, you see, Arjuna's whole basic question is whether he should fight or not. That's his fundamental question. So if he takes sannyas, does that mean that he doesn't have to fight? Is that a way to avoid our duties? Very important question, because in future people are going to do that. They're going to say, oh, I'm taking sannyas, so I don't need to fight. And this could be a reason why people will neglect their duties. And similarly, Tyag also, renunciation, renouncing the fruits of work, whether to do the work and then renounce the fruit or not do the work at all, which is better. And he wants to understand the purpose of that. What is the proper understanding of these two words, Tyaga and Sannyas? And he calls Krishna by the different names. What are the names he calls him by? He calls him by Rishikesha and Keshi Sudana. Keshi Sudana, killer of Keshi, also called Keshava. Here he calls him Keshi Sudan. So now we're going to read text number 2, where he's going to explain the answer to this question. So Raji Mukhaprabhu can read text number 2 translation.
Sure, Prabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead said, the giving up activities that are based on material desire is what great learned men call the renounced order of life, sannyas. And giving up result of all activities is what the wise call renunciation, tyaga. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Prabhu. Since you have attended this class, maybe you can explain the summary of this verse.
Thank you, Prabhu. The Supreme Personality of Godhead here, Lord is saying very two important words. What is the difference between sannyas and tag? Sannyas is what the Lord is saying, giving up the activities based on the material desire. If we leave the material desire, that is what real sannyas. But the tyaga is that giving up the result of all activities, that is tyaga. This is a very important thing is, though we can work it, but if you leave the activities, the result, if you renounce that, that is the real tyaga. That is what the Supreme Personality of Godhead is saying, Prabhu. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yes. So here the definition of sannyas is to give up work that is materially motivated. Sannyas doesn't mean giving up all work. This is a common misunderstanding, especially in India. People take sannyas when they're frustrated with the material life. But then it is not that is not to pursue spiritual activity. It is to simply to not do anything. Because if I do something, if I do some activity, if I do some karma, I'll get reaction. So better is more spiritual. It is more spiritual to not do anything. That's what the Buddhists will teach you. Avoid this, Mayavadis. They say don't do anything, do nothing, think of nothing, meditate on nothing, meditate on zero, meditate on void. Become void, or become Brahmajyoti, light, become energy. So these type of meditations, these type of intentions are not sannyas. So sannyas is, real sannyas is to give up materially motivated work, not to give up all duties. It's a very, very, very important definition. And unless we understand this, the meaning of sannyas is completely abused. No wonder people say that these so-called sannyasis, not the real ones, so-called sannyasis, are called parasites or burden on society. So they come, they beg, they take some money, they take some food, they take some facilities, and they take clothes and gifts, and then they don't give anything back. No wonder people are very frustrated. So even as ISKCON devotees, when we go to people for a donation to build a temple or something, they see us in the same category. Why can't you guys do something to get some money? Why come to us for money? We got our own expenses, we got our own bills to pay, we got our problems to solve. Why are you guys bothering us? So that's why this is a misunderstood word, especially in Kali Yuga. That's when Kali Yuga sannyas itself is forbidden. I can imagine why. Because it has been misused a lot. Sannyasa ashram has been misused. The color of the saffron dress has been misused a lot in Kali Yuga. And people are losing faith in God as a result. They're losing faith in Bhagavad Gita. They're losing faith in spiritual life. So this is something so deep that unless we study Bhagavad Gita as it is, you will not get the proper meaning. That giving up materially motivated work doesn't mean giving up all work. And here Krishna is asking Arjuna to fight for him, not for Arjuna's getting a kingdom. Arjuna is renouncing the war, the battle of Kurukshetra, on the grounds that I don't want a kingdom. Therefore, I'll take sannyas, I don't have to fight them. So Arjuna is also displaying that misunderstanding which we see today in Kali Yuga. Krishna is clarifying that. The sannyas means you take higher duties. You have material duties, but you take on the duty of the whole world. So as a grahastha, you are responsible for your family, and maybe your extended family, and maybe your village. But a sannyasi is responsible for the whole world. So it's not running away from responsibility, it's actually adding to the responsibility, taking more responsibility. Not just one family, one village, but the whole world. So that is the meaning of sannyas. Now, as a gratitude to the sannyasi for coming and enlightening us, giving us knowledge, the grahasthas will do service to the sannyasi. So they don't have to waste their time washing clothes and cooking the breakfast, lunch, dinner. They can focus on delivering the whole world. And that which they are good at and which they have dedicated their life for. And they're so busy. Prabhupada would challenge the reporters. Sometimes reporters come and ask, where do you get all this money? What are you doing? What are your work? And Prabhupada told one reporter, I'm an old man. At this age, I work more than you. He told the reporter bluntly on her face that, look, we work so hard. And it's true. Prabhupada hardly slept 2-3 hours the whole day. But 20 hours is practically Prabhupada is constantly working in the service. So where the question of sannyas means no duties. So our sampradaya is made up of such great sannyasis who set a very high standard. So unless we educate people, they'll still have the misunderstanding. So this shloka is a very big eye-opener. That Krishna clarifies what actually sannyas means. and instead of putting on a fake sannyasi, he says better to do your work, even if material duties if you have to do as a family person, but give up the attachment to the results. Give up the results. That is tyag. That is far better than so-called sannyasis who giving up all duties, material and spiritual. I think tyag is better. That's what Krishna is going to describe this path. These two is going to compare the next verse. Text number 3. We'll go on to Wendy. Wendy Mataji, can you read text 3?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Some learned men declare that all kinds of fructive activities should be given up as faulty, yet another sages maintain that acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance should never be abandoned. Hare Krishna.
Wendy, what do you understand from this?
We should maintain our duty if we're doing. We should give up all the fructive activities, and because that's faulty, we should give all our give all our work and activities to Krishna. The result to Krishna, as sage, for example, sages doing sacrifice, charity, and penance. That should not be abandoned. We should continue our duties, perform our duties with the cost and give up the result to Krishna.
Yes. Yes. So this is so Krishna is leading up to that this point of discussion of two opinions. One opinion is don't do anything, don't do yajna, dana, tapasya, stop everything. The other is to don't give up yajna, dana, and tapasya. Yajna is sacrifice, dana is charity, and penance is tapasya. Should never be abandoned. Why that is so? Krishna is going to explain the next verse, text number 4. So we request who is available to read. I can see Anita Mataji is there. Anita Mataji. Hare Krishna, you have been attending regularly.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Yes, I will read text 4. Nishchayam shrunu me tatra.
Mataji, just read only the translation. We are doing revision. Revision now.
Okay, Prabhuji, sorry. Okay. O best of the Bharatas, now hear my judgment about renunciation. O tiger among men, renunciation is declared in the scriptures to be of 3 kinds. Do I have to explain it, Prabhuji?
Yeah.
Okay, so Lord Krishna is he will now talk about renunciation, which he will talk about in the next couple of verses. So although there are differences of opinion about renunciation, as we have read in the previous verse. So, but Krishna is saying that his judgment should be taken as final. So the Vedas are different laws given by the Lord. So here the Lord is personally present and his word should be taken as final. So the process of renunciation should be considered in terms of the modes of material nature in which they are performed. So whether they are all these activities, tyag, tapasya and charity, whether they are done in the mode of satoguna, rajoguna and tamoguna. So it depends on which mode they are performed. So that is what he is going to talk about in the next following verses. This is what I understand.
Thank you, Anita Mati. Thank you very much. Yes. So the key word here is tyag. So tyag is the key word. So tyag is renunciation. So how one does that activity and still be renounced by not being attached to the fruits. So there's two things here. One is karma, the activity, and other is karma phal, the fruit. So we have different permutation combinations. Karma activity, you got two choices. Either you do the activity or you don't do the activity. There's two options there. If you perform the activity, the task or the duty, then we got how you deal with the fruit is the other part of the equation. That how you deal with the fruit of the activity is determined by which mode you are in. People in different modes deal with the fruit in a different way. And how we deal with the fruit is what is going to determine whether you get a reaction, good reaction, bad reaction, or no reaction. Or you get liberated even. So it's not the activity itself, but it's the fruit of the activity that's important. So sannyas, where it is misunderstood as no activity, is actually very dangerous. Because soul by nature is active. It can't be inactive. We read that in 3rd chapter. Karma Yoga. Soul has to be active. So they'll end up doing something. Even if Arjuna takes sannyas and goes to the forest, in the forest also he'll pick up a fight with somebody. Because his swabhava is not going to change. His nature as Kshatriya will still be there. He's still a passionate person. So his mode of passion will take over and he will act. So here we're talking about tyag of 3 kinds, sattva, rajas and tamas. So we'll read from text number 5 onwards, how these are to be conducted in different modes, how they're in the different modes. Okay, we'll go to text number 5. Who has been with the class regularly? Varun Prabhu, can you read text number 5?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you. Just the translation, Prabhuji.
Yeah, just translation. We are revising today.
Acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance are not to be given up, but should be performed. Indeed, sacrifice, charity, and penance purify even the great souls. Do you want me to summarize, Prabhuji?
Yes, Lord, please.
Yes. So in this verse, Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna, is saying to Arjuna, and he's clearing the doubt of whether acts of sacrifice, charity, and penance, whether they must be given up or not. Because I think in the earlier verse, there was a built-up where these acts, whether they should be given up, they should be renounced or should not be renounced. And here he's providing clarity, not just to Arjuna, but to everyone who is lost. And even if someone feels that they have achieved self-realization, they should still continue sacrifice, charity, and penance, because it will still continue to purify them. There is no ending to purity in terms of purification. It's an ongoing process, and as and when one does more devotional service, the God, by His grace, will give more opportunities to perform more sacrifice and charity and penance, which will again further purify the souls. So God in this verse is saying and clearing the doubt, not just to Arjuna, but to all of us, that sacrifice, charity, and penance must be performed. Yes, Prabhuji, thank you.
Very good. So that's why Krishna is emphasizing the importance of Yagyadana Tapasya. He said even sannyasi can get involved in Yagyadana Tapasya. What to speak of grahasthas? So he gave the example of Vivaha Yagya, the marriage ceremony. The sannyasi has taken sannyas, means they left the family and gone to look after the world family. Vasudeva Kutumbakam. But even they may perform wedding ceremonies for a young couple to get married so that they can engage in Yajna Tapasya. So for facilitating the Yajna Tapasya of other ashrams, especially Grahastha ashram, the sannyasi may perform Annaprashna ceremony or Namkarana ceremony. Because for my son Giridhar, Guru Maharaj did the Annaprashna ceremony in Mayapur. So at that time we happened to be there, and Guru Maharaj was very merciful, so he gave Radha Madhav Mahaprasad to him. So he was so blessed. Just Krishna's mercy just happened, just worked out very well. So a sannyasi has nothing to do with babies, but he put baby on the lap, took him on the lap and gave him the few spoon of this thing, Mahaprasad, Annaprashna. And he performed so many sannyasis do that. I mean, I've seen that. He did the first writing also, Akshara we call Vidyarambha. When he was 3 years old, he taught him to write Jai Srila Prabhupada, Hare Krishna mantra. He held his hand and made him write those letters. And that was the beginning of his education. So sannyasi does that so that we grahasthas, we get the blessing from sannyasi, from Guru. Then we take that blessing and use that to study Bhagavad Gita, study Srimad Bhagavatam, to offer our food to Krishna and take prasadam, to purify our senses. So we get purified. He's teaching us how to do that. So that's why Yajna, Dana and Tapasya are very much part of everyone's life. And the sannyasi does that just to encourage the grahasthas to do their part. And as Varun Prabhu said, it purifies everyone. Yajna, Dana and Tapasya. So Yajna means sacrifice. That means we are offering something to Lord Vishnu. So rather than keep everything for ourselves, whatever we have received from the Lord, we want to give something back to the Lord. So this is Yajna, sacrifice. Similarly, Dan also, when we receive some income, we want to use some of the income to build a temple or to worship the deity. On festivals, we want to make a donation to in the service of the Lord. This is very important, so that we all get purified. So when we give back, then what happens to Lord Vishnu? He gives back again, even more. Then we give again to the Lord and then distribute the Mahaprasad to everyone. So everyone gets benefited. So hundreds and thousands of people will get benefited by distribution of prasadam, by involving them in yajna. And similarly, tapasya also. The sannyasis teach us, Ekadasi, you're supposed to fast from grains. On festival days, we do sometimes do half-day fast, sometimes full-day fast. The fasting is done. So these kind of tapasyas, austerities, are done for purification. Again, all ashrams have their tapasyas. The tapasya of a brahmachari is maintain celibacy. Similarly, sannyas ashram also maintain celibacy. So all these are there to purify the human society, for advancement of human society. Okay, move on to text number 6. Harinam Prabhu, read text number 6.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. All these activities should be performed without attachment or any expectation of result. They should be performed as a matter of duty, O son of Pratha. That is my final opinion. So here, this verse talks about renunciation. Renunciation does not mean that we should not do anything. We should do these 3 things, dahan, charity, and tapasya. But we should not expect any results from them. We should do it as a matter of human duty. As a human being, we are to purify ourselves, to get transcendental knowledge and pass on that knowledge to other living human beings so that they can also purify themselves and advance in devotional service. Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Thank you, Harinam Prabhu. Thank you very much. Very good. So the whole key point is the result or the fruit of work. That should be, who is the Bhokta? Bhoktaram Yagyatapasam Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Suridam Sarvabhutanam Gyatmanam Shantim. So all Yajna Tapasya should be offered to Lord Vishnu. The third chapter also Krishna says, Yajna Shishtasana Santo Muchante Sarvakinusha. Bhumte Tedam Pakam Yapachante Atmakam. The food is cooked, which we offer it in sacrifice to the Lord. If we don't offer, we're eating sin. Bhumte Tedam Pakam. Yajnartat Karunatra Lokoyam Karabandha. Tadartham Karam Kurte Mukta Sanasamata. Work done as sacrifice should perform for Lord Vishnu, otherwise work causes bondage in material. So when you perform the work for Lord Vishnu, then it causes liberation. When the results are not offered to Krishna, but we keep the result ourselves, it causes bondage. So I can see now how this shloka is actually reflecting what's already been covered in the third chapter and the fifth chapter. Because both third chapter and fifth chapter are Karma Yoga. Remember, chapter 3 is Karma Yoga and chapter 5 is Karma Yoga, action and Krishna consciousness. So those shlokas are being summarized in this verse now. Just I quoted 3 verses which are related to the shloka. So how sacrifice is the bhokta, the enjoyer or the benefactor of the sacrifice is actually Lord Vishnu or Krishna. And when we offer it to the Lord, naturally the Lord gives back the prasad. He doesn't take and say, okay, thank you very much, you can go now. No, he gives back much more actually, so that we can distribute even more. And this is the mood of a Vaishnava. So there is the nice story of the pastime of Govinda Ghosh. Govinda Ghosh was a servant of Lord Chaitanya. And he was traveling with Lord Chaitanya. And Lord Chaitanya would get invited, as you know, every day in different Brahmanas' houses. And they would feed Lord Chaitanya. And feed him. In India, we show love by serving the guest until they are full up to the neck and still more. Keep going. And especially in the Western devotees went to India, they were completely confused. You know? They come to serve and ask them, will you have some more sabji and rice? He said, no, thank you. They still pour anyway. And I said, no, Baba. He said, India, you can't say no, and no is not taken as no. For prasadam, it is a different etiquette here. You have to say no and close your plate and look really desperate. And then they'll say, okay, Baba, he's really said no. First no is taken as a polite no. People usually say, it's okay, no, it's okay. That means he really wants. So it's a big culture shock for the Westerners. Anyway, Govinda Ghosh, back to the story. Govinda Ghosh, past time, so Lord Chaitanya would get fed a lot and rich food, you know, sometimes it would be hard to digest. Lord Chaitanya once said, oh, I'm feeling indigestion. Can you get me some medicine? And Govinda Ghosh, he was a servant, so he went to the neighbors' houses and begged some haritaki. Haritaki, good for digestion. So he got some haritaki and gave it to Lord Chaitanya. Lord Chaitanya had haritaki. He was very happy. The next day, they go to another house. Another Brahmana invites them. Again, Lord Chaitanya gets fed to the top, to the brink. And again he says, oh, Govinda, please, can you get some haritaki for me again? I need some more. Govinda Ghosh immediately pulled out haritaki and said, my Lord, here it is. He said, how did you get so quickly? He said, Mahaprabhu, yesterday when I went and begged, I got a little extra and I kept it in my jola. I knew you'll ask for me today. So I just kept it for emergency. I knew you'll ask for again. So I thought, why beg again? Just go and keep it for next day also. You are holding for next day. You are got a mentality for grahastha. You should not remain brahmachari. You should get married. So Lord Chaitanya told Govinda Ghosh, you should get married now. You can't be single. It's not a brahmachari, vairagi mood. Is you only collect for one day and that's it. Depend on Krishna next day. Don't collect for next day. You don't store for no storing business, no stashing. And no holding. That's why, because sannyasis are no place to stay anyway. There are no residence, no bank account, no house, no property. They don't have any storeroom, they don't have any pantry cupboards. So he said, you should get married. Govinda Ghosh said, all right, Mahaprabhu, if you want me to get married, I will. He said, you have the mentality of a grandfather who likes to accumulate things. So he got married, and for a period of time, he had a son, and he was leading grahastha life. And one day, his wife passed away, very sad, but somehow he continued, and he had deity at home. I forgot what deity was there. Under Krishna only, Krishna deity, I forgot which name. Anyway, he was worshipping his deity, and deity was being fed every day, Rajbhog and all that. So then he lost his wife. It became very hard for him to cook. And she was cooking and he was offering every day. So that was the system. But now wife is not there. So somehow he managed to make some offering. And after some time, his son also died. That was a big shock for him. He said, now I lost my wife, lost my son. What grahastha I am? What kind of grahastha I am? Single like this. I can't do anything. So I don't have anybody to cook for. So I'm not motivated anymore. So he just stopped cooking, stopped offering to deity. And in the dream, the deity came and told him, just because you lost one son, why are you starving the other son? And Govinda Ghosh said, what other son are you talking about? I only had one son. He said, I am also your son. Huh? You are a deity. How can you be son? This is a conversation going on in a dream. And he says, yeah, I'm deity, but I'm still your son. I'm part of your family. You've been looking after me all these years. Why you stop me now? I'm also hungry. I also feel hunger. I feel thirsty. I need to be fed. And Govinda Ghosh said, but you can't be my son. I said, why not? Well, if you're my son, will you do my Shraddha ceremony after I die? He said, yes, why not? Krishna said, yes, I'll do for you. As a real son, I will do for you. Okay, in that case, I'll cook for you. So next day, Govinda Ghosh gets excited. My deities asked me to cook, so nice, he starts cooking again. And then after the Govinda Ghosh passed away, on his Shraddha's day, the devotees, the pujaris found that the deity is wearing the kusha grass ring, for Shraddha, and there were black sesame seeds in his hand. Then they realized the Lord actually wants to do the Shraddha ceremony for his devotee. So on the anniversary of Govinda Ghosh's disappearance, even today, that temple is so crowded. Even the only one with Guru Maharaj. And they perform this, the pujaris perform the ceremony. They ask the deity, okay, now do tarpana, do this, do that, pour the water, put the sesame seed, put on the kusha grass ring, and do this, do that, all the rituals we do, right, for Shraddha. So the pujari actually literally dictates to the deity, do this, and guides the deity on how to perform Shraddha for Govinda Ghosh. And they chant all the Sankalpa mantras and all that. This is a Shraddha ceremony for Govinda Ghosh. All that they do. The full ceremony is performed by the pujari. And the deity performs the Shraddha even today for Govinda Ghosh. So why I'm bringing this story here is that these acts of sacrifices, yagyas, samskaras, are very much necessary. Even Krishna is prepared to do it if nobody is there. The deity himself is prepared to do it if nobody is doing it. That just goes to show how important it is. And in the human society to advance, Prabhupada says for advancement of human society, it is very much necessary. Everything that leads to Krishna consciousness must be encouraged. Very nice sentence, huh? Everything that leads to Krishna consciousness must be encouraged. So the deity, he encouraged Govinda Ghosh to stop not to stop his service. In the Srimad Bhagavatam also it is said that any activity leads to devotional service to the Lord should be accepted. On the other hand, if you do activity that not leads to devotional service, what is it called? Shama eva hi kevalam. Vasudeva Bhagavati. No, what is that verse? Dharmasvanshita pumsa vishvaksana kathasvaya. Na utpadidati ratim shama eva hi kevalam. If all the activities that you perform, day-to-day activities, it should lead to what? It should lead to hearing about Krishna. To hear about Krishna. If it does not do that, it is shama eva hi kevalam. Vishvaksena katha suya. Vishvaksena katha is same as Krishna katha. It should lead us to Krishna katha. If it does not do that, it is shama eva hi kevalam. So these activities are pujas, samskaras, yagyas, sacrifices. They are all leading us to devotional service. A devotee of the Lord should accept any kind of work, sacrifice or charity, which would help him in the discharge of devotional service to the Lord. And we have seen that practically in ISKCON, we are as devotees, we perform yagyas, and every weekend I get a request for Grah Pravesh. Last weekend we had Grah Pravesh. Sometimes it is Annaprashna, sometimes it is Bhagavatam installation, anything. So the householders invite us every week, and they cook nice prasadam, it's offered to the deity, nice bhoga, offered to the deities, and then they have invite some guests come over, there's prasad distribution, and book distribution, and we have Krishna Katha, and they give a donation. And that donation is we are using to build a temple. So every week we get steady donations, few $100s every week. So throughout the year, it's almost pretty much booked out. So many people are wanting the samskaras, yajnas. And in that, people are introduced to Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam. So then they are also encouraged to have in their house. So the book distribution goes on. The people enroll in Bhagavad Gita classes, Bhagavatam classes. They come and study Prabhupada's books. They join our classes, they become devotees, they start chanting. So all this should be encouraged. Okay, we move on to text number 7. Nita Charan Prabhu, are you there, or Bhagavati Mataji? Hare Krishna, haven't seen you for a long time.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji, can you read text 7 translation, Mataji, please?
Yes. Prescribed duties should never be renounced. If one gives up his prescribed duties because of illusion, such renunciation is said to be in the mode of ignorance. So here the Lord is mentioning that whatever we have to do, the prescribed duties we should do, we should never give it up. And if by illusion we are giving it up, that means we are in the mode of ignorance.
Thank you, Mataji. That's good. So those people who take sannyas to avoid doing any work, that is not renunciation. It's actually mode of ignorance. So that is, Krishna does not recommend that. Because of illusion, Krishna calls that illusion. So sannyas is not an escape route. To escape our duties, family responsibility, finding it too much. That's why when one devotee said to Srila Prabhupada, I want to take sannyas, the Prabhupada asked, why you want to take sannyas? And he said, I want to take sannyas because I had a fight with my wife. They said, Prabhupada said, you're doing the right thing for the wrong reason. Taking sannyas is good. Not done because you had a fight with your wife. That's not a good reason. Because tomorrow if she patches up, what will you do? Go back for? So the motivation is not right. The intention is, the sannyas is not to get away from the problems. The sannyas ashram is to take greater responsibility. Okay. So let us see now renunciation, different aspects of renunciation. More. Who has not read till now? Prakash Prabhu, Hare Krishna. Prakash ji, are you there? Prakash Prabhu from Melbourne.
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, can you read 18th chapter, verse number 8 translation?
Yeah. Anyone who gives up prescribed duties as troublesome or out of fear of bodily discomfort is said to have renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to the elevation of renunciation. So, you explain, Prabhuji, please.
You can say whatever you want, no problem. No pressure.
Okay. So anyone prescribed duties is things which are troublesome or out of fear or discomfort is renounced in the mode of passion. Such action never leads to elevation or renunciation.
So,
Yes, Prabhu.
no problem. So you see here, the previous sloka we read that if one does not do their duty, gives up his prescribed duty because of illusion, that is mode of ignorance. Thinking that I have taken sannyas, I don't need to do anything. That is illusion. So that is mode of ignorance. That is tamasic. Rasic means I'll pick and choose what I like to do. Only things are easy to do, I'll do. The difficult work, I'll avoid. This kind of renunciation is the mode of passion. Because one is thinking of their own comfort and their own like and dislike. So actually, this is not proper renunciation. I think we discussed this story before. It's a good example of two sannyasis were crossing a river, and a lady came there. She wanted some help to cross the river, and he asked the first sannyasi, "Can you help me to please cross the river?" And he said, "No, I'm a sannyasi. I can't help you. I can't touch a woman. I've taken a vow of sannyas. I can't help you. Sorry. You find your own way across the river." Then she asked the second sannyasi, "Would you like to help me, please? I want to cross the river." And he held her hand and helped her to cross the river. So after they crossed, they continued walking. The lady went to her house, and the sannyasi started traveling. And after some time, the whole day, the first sannyasi was not talking. The second sannyasi said, "Are you angry with me or something? We are only two people. We'll talk. There's nobody there with us." He said, "How could you do this? You are a sannyasi. You've taken a vow of sannyas. Both of us took sannyas at the same time. We promised we'll not touch a woman. How do you break your promise like this? I didn't expect this from you." The second sannyasi said, "Yes, because it was an emergency. She needed some help, and we had to help her cross the river. Otherwise, it's dangerous for her to be alone. So I just helped her and I left her. But you carrying her in a mind the whole day." So the renunciation in the mode of passion, because you feel, "Oh, I've taken sannyas, I can't do this," that is not a good reason to give up some work. Just like here he says, one who is in Krishna consciousness should not give up earning money out of fear that he is performing kuti activities. If by working one can engage in money in Krishna consciousness, or if by rising early in the morning one can advance in transcendental Krishna consciousness, one should not desist out of fear or because activities are considered troublesome. So Prabhupada gives two examples here. Rising early in the morning. It's too hard sometimes. I feel tired. I don't feel like getting up. Feel lazy. So the sleep is more of ignorance. So Prabhupada said, if you don't do that, then that is considered a renunciation mode of passion. Or you have to collect money for building a temple. So if you don't do that because, it's too hard, I don't want to collect money, then we are renouncing the mode of passion. So that's not recommended. Okay. Who is Magan? Magan?
Vijay Gopikesh. Hare Krishna.
Oh, Hare Krishna, Mahatma Prabhu. Hari Bol, I didn't notice you. Welcome. Mahatma ji, are you have a book with you? Bhagavad Gita? Mahatma ji, you are on mute. Okay, Hare Krishna. Who is Magan?
Oh, Magan is Mangalvat Prabhu. Mangalvat.
Mangalvat Prabhu, are you there?
He might not be able to read in English. He's
Okay.
85 plus.
Okay, sorry. Number 4, you can start with number 9 then.
Number 9. Oh, Arjun, when one performs his prescribed duty only because it ought to be done, and renounces all material association and all attachment to the fruit, his renunciation is said to be the mode of goodness. So here Krishna is explaining to Arjun what it means to be doing renunciation in mode of goodness. The qualification is that one does his duty as far as his duty, because his prescribed duty, because it's his job to do it. But what happens? And he doesn't become attached to the material association and to the fruits. So he does his duty out of love or out of duty, and but he is not attached to the fruits. So such renunciation is called renunciation in the mode of good, in the mode of goodness.
Okay. So we saw now 3 categories, right? Renunciation. First is out of illusion, one who does not do the duty, prescribed duty, that is called in the mode of ignorance. Second one, previous verse. If one gives up activity because too difficult, like rising early in the morning or taking bath, you feel too, in the winter you feel cold. He gives up these austerities because too difficult. That is called renunciation, tyaga in the mode of passion. But the mode of goodness, which is recommended, is where one perform one's duty out of sense of duty, but does not get attached to the food, without attachment to the food. This renunciation is recommended. Prescribed duties must be performed with this mentality, Prabhupada says. One should act without attachment for result. So this is mode of goodness, where one performs a duty but not attached to the result. And that's when karma becomes karma yoga. The results are then offered to Krishna. That also read in the 3rd chapter as well as in the 9th chapter. That is, 9th chapter we read Yat karoshi dasnashi dosh dasha Yat tapasyasi kaunteya tat kurusha madanpana. Yat karoshi, whatever you do, yadashnashi, whatever you give away, whatever you eat, do that everything as an offering to me. Whatever sacrifice you perform, whatever you give in charity, all that do it as an offering to me, Krishna is saying. So that becomes karma yoga. So then one does not get karma bandhan. Okay, and go to text number 10. Anybody who would like to read who has not read till now? Who is 108?
I can read. Mahatma Das.
Oh, Mahatma, I was waiting for you. Prabhuji, welcome.
From Belmont, yeah.
Yes, Prabhu. Mahatmaji, welcome from Melbourne.
The intelligent renouncer, situated in the mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work, has no doubts about work. Thank you.
So you can explain what you understood from this?
Purport: a person in Krishna consciousness or in the mode of goodness does not hate anyone or anything which troubles his body. He does work in the proper place and at the proper time without fearing the troublesome effects of his duty. Such a person situated in transcendence should be understood to be most intelligent and beyond all doubts of his activities. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah. So Prabhupada is saying here that he does not hate anything or anything which troubles his body. So Srila Prabhupada, sometimes when he was spreading the Krishna conscious movement, he would give very difficult tasks to the devotees. Like the devotee first devotee asked to publish Back to God magazine. This devotee had no idea how to publish a magazine, young devotee. And the only contact he had with the magazine was he used to read one, that's all. He's only read a magazine, he hasn't published a magazine any time in his life. And his devotee was very confused. He said, Prabhupada, how can I do this? Prabhupada said, you try, Krishna will help you. So an spiritual master is encouraging that you don't give up some service because it's too hard. Another time, Prabhupada would sit in front of a globe of the world, world globe, would spin the globe on the axis. And where it stopped, he'll say, okay, it stopped in Africa. Brahmananda, you go to Africa. Again, it turns, stops in Russia. Gopal Krishna Maharaj, you go to Russia. And then he told Tamal Krishna Maharaj, you go to China. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj was so upset, he said, you might as well send me to the moon. He said, no, you should go. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj thought he was just telling like that, joking or something. He said, no, I want you to go to China. And those days, communist country, China was so difficult to even enter. You can't enter even. And he said, no, you have to go. Krishna will help you. He sent devotees to Pakistan, Karachi, that preached in Karachi. His two brothers, Brahmananda and his name, Gargamuni. They went to Pakistan. At that time, the war started, Indo-Pak war. So dangerous it was. And Prabhupada called them back. And they would do kirtan in Karachi and people would spit on them. Imagine how difficult it is. And what to speak of devotees in Russia? They were put in jail, concentration camps, they were tortured, they were given all kinds of drugs. to stop them from chanting. But the devotees didn't stop chanting. In fact, the devotees are told, if you just sign a piece of paper that I will not chant Hare Krishna, I'm not part of the Hare Krishna movement. If you sign that, I'll let you go. That's it. The devotee said, no, we want to chant. So this is in Prabhupada's time. The devotees are so determined. Prabhupada went to Russia only for a few days. That one day he met one Russian boy. And that boy, he preached to him for a few days, I think only 3 days or something. And that boy became so convinced, he took up Krishna consciousness. And that one boy, his name was Ivan, he made the whole Russian movement start from there. It's a powerful is the preaching of a pure devotee. So one should not give up something because it's too difficult. Similarly, here we are experiencing in Sydney, we're trying to build a temple. So many obstacles, so many challenges, so many things to deal with. But somehow devotees are very kind at working on it. And we start work on the foundation. The work is going on the foundation. Hopefully by the holidays period, we have to stop now. So the work has gone. In January, we should try to finish that. So like that, there are many obstacles. But one should not give up. So that's why this is the intelligence announces a straight mode of goodness, neither hateful of inauspicious work nor attached to auspicious work. There's no doubts about it. So we don't see something as auspicious or inauspicious. Just like when Krishna asked for dust from the feet of the devotees for his headache. Putting our feet on Krishna's head is inauspicious. But the gopis didn't refuse. They said, no, Krishna's headache will do anything. To cure his headache, we'll give our dust. Take it, please take it. So this is the mood of the devotees. That they don't like or dislike something. Krishna's work has to be done, I'll do it. So Nandas Prabhu, what time do we finish? You are on mute, Prabhu. Nandas, you are on mute. Hare Krishna.
Sorry, Babu. Yeah, we should finish 8:45, but you can another five minutes or so. Question answers.
Okay. So we have done 10 verses today, Prabhu.
Okay.
So are we going to meet every Thursday or is it Tuesday, Thursday?
We'll meet every Tuesday, Thursday, 1 hour.
Okay.
And today we start with quarter to 7 New Zealand time.
Okay.
I was thinking maybe if somebody can read Srila Prabhupada Lila Mitra for about 5 minutes or 10 minutes, we can start 7:30.
Yeah, that'll be good.
Or 7:30, we can a short kirtan, maybe 5 minutes and 10 minutes reading. Then 7:45 we can do the class.
That'll be good. Yeah, 1 hour.
So yeah. So next week I was requesting Nitya Channel Prabhu or Bhagavati Mataji, they can start the program 7:30 with kirtan and reading Prabhupada Lila Mitra. And we can start the proper class 7:45 New Zealand time. Then we can take Tuesday, sorry, next Tuesday.
Okay.
So I log in about 10 minutes before, like 7:20. You can everybody can come through and start kirtan and the class. Okay, that's fine, Prabhu?
Sure, that's great. Thank you. Thank you for organizing this program.
Thank you. Thank you for joining after so many, I think 4 months we had like.
Yeah, long lockdown on the Bhagavad Gita. Of course, we had a lot of Krishna Katha.
Yeah, Auckland had a lot of intense Krishna programs, whole 2 hours every evening, continuous for like nearly 4 months.
That's very nice.
So, yeah. So we still continue to twice a week, Mondays and Wednesdays. So Tuesday, Thursday, we get the class. Okay, so next Tuesday, we'll get Nitya Chand Prabhu to read Kirtan and read. I'll give the text where we are living, Srila Prabhupada Lila Mitra, and the following Thursday, somebody else can start. Thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you. Thank you, Bhagavati Mataji, Nitya Chand Prabhu, good to see you. Hare Krishna, Kabir Kinga.
Thakur
joined
Prabhu
us.
is also here,
Hare
Prabhuji.
Krishna, Prabhuji.
Oh, Thakurji.
I'm a guest tonight here.
You're part of Prabhupada's family. Yeah. Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Bhagavad Gita ki jai.
Vijay Gopikesh Prabhu ki jai. God, okay, Hare Krishna. Pranam. See everybody on Tuesday. Hare Krishna. Pranam.